everyone, I'm Jenny Larson and this is Tom Fitzgerald. Thank you for tasking us with looking at the motivational plan for our company. We are looking at both the department design and sales teams, and we have an individual who has worked for both of us within this company to help kind of spotlight some issues. So we're going to start talking about Jane. Jane has worked for our company for a little over 3 years, and she has worked for the design team for about a year until she transitioned over to the sales team. And in the design team, she was very well respected, got her work done in time, and really worked well with clients in that program area. And so we moved her over to the sales team. And in the sales team, working with clients was a huge thing that she was great at in designing. And with working with them, she was doing really great, hitting her commissions. All until about 2-3 months in, they started to decrease and had decreased for months and months. And because of that, she was getting very frustrated and started having some issues within the company, specifically with the design team, because they weren't giving her what she needed. To make sure that wasn't just her individually, what she was doing with the clients, her supervisor came on a couple of trips to provide some additional feedback and information. And throughout those trips, she noticed that she's doing everything that she needed to do. So Jane really looked back and started to get very frustrated with the lack of communication and the products that were being put out. So that kind of helped us start pinpointing some issues within each of the teams and how we can move forward.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the two different teams and kind of what our current motivational or incentivization is for those two teams. As you're aware, the design team is monetarily or financially incentivized. It's based on their billable time, so the amount of time that they're charging to clients versus the amount of time doing administrative work or rework or things like this. They're also incentivized based on their ability to get things done on time, so completing projects on schedule. They're all individually based, so every individual has their own metrics. The sales team, as you're aware, is commission-based, and so certainly their incentivization is based on a percentage of their sales. So they get a certain amount, and as you work your way up and deal with different clients, you are incentivized a little bit differently within that framework. So as we started to kind of look back at our motivational plans and see what worked and what didn't, we did a little bit of research. We looked at an article by Herman Aguinis, which is What Monetary Rewards Can and Cannot Do. Basically looked at kind of 5 items. And the first is it measurable, and certainly I think that our performance-based rewards are. The second is it performance-based, and so we're looking at these individual metrics for either sales or meeting billable time ratios and things like that. So the third one is it timely? Certainly for the design staff it's not. They get incentivized at the end of the year based on overall yearly numbers. So if they did very well on a project, they're not going to be incentivized for that. It all kind of gets mushed together and gets done at the end of the year. It's not always fair either. Item 4. You find that some projects have larger budgets or better accommodate things than others, and certain staff, because they're highly skilled, they're going to be put on things that we're going after like strategically that may have tighter budgets, and they may not meet all their utilization because a lot of their time is built on admin and overhead and things like that. So all of our incentives are monetary based, so we have not offered any non-monetary rewards really in any of our incentive programs. The second thing that we looked at was the book by Daniel Pink, Drive, which showed that creative processes or cognitive processes really did not show an improvement with financial incentives, and so he showed this through a number of examples and kind of experiments. What he postulated rather was that you wanted to look at autonomy, which is giving people the ability to be kind of self-directed, to kind of be in control of their own destiny. Mastery, to have the ability to kind of improve their own skill set, and then purpose, giving them some kind of meaning and an overall importance to their work assignment. On the sales side, we looked at our plan is purely extrinsically based, purely monetary rewards. And certainly in that article by Daniel Pink, he talks about how those kinds of programs reduce creativity, diminish other kinds of performance. So you're you're only focused on the metrics that you're being measured on. It encourages kind of shortcuts and cheating. There's a lot of competition amongst the sales staff, and certainly they're not working together. And it also fosters short-term thinking, is that you're just worried about getting that short-term commission rather than building long-term relationships.
So when looking at how to change the motivational plan, we looked at a couple of theories, and the first one would be the needs theory by David McClelland. It looks at 3 needs: achievement, power, and affiliation, and how those work in a managerial relationship.
The second one we looked at was expectancy theory. Expectancy theory is kind of just the basic thought that if you give something some effort and you perform well, that you're going to be rewarded for that. And it's a mathematical formula that looks at motivation as a function of valence, instrumentality, and expectancy. Where expectancy is basically the notion that if I try, can I be successful here? Do I have the skills to perform this job? The second item, instrumentality, measures or considers if I perform this job, will I get the reward? Is there only one reward, or can the entire staff that's meeting these metrics enjoy the reward? And then the last thing is valence, and is this a reward that I'm even want? Is this something I'm motivated to achieve? So certainly we wanted to consider that as we develop our new motivational plan.
And then the third one was the reinforcement theory. So positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment, or extinction. And for us, because we're trying to build a team and our changes within the motivational theory are going to be going towards that, we want to look at positive motivation.
So now we're going to start to lay out what our plans are, our thoughts are for our new motivational plans. We're going to talk about both a design team and sales team. I'm going to cover design, and Jenny's going to talk about sales. So for the design team, we certainly wanted to have something that continued to be measurable. But I think we wanted to change the metrics a little bit. We wanted to look at overall profitability of the firm. We wanted to really kind of focus on that, not how you're getting there, but kind of just the overall end result. We also wanted to talk about reduction in rework, and so tying, bonuses to eliminating that amount of getting it right the first time and eliminating the amount of rework that needs to be done. The last thing we want to do is roll out a client satisfaction survey and really kind of focus on client satisfaction rather than just getting things done on time and on budget, but really kind of producing something that the client finds is extremely valuable. So getting those surveys out there, getting a baseline, and then kind of being able to track performance based on how pleased they are with our designs. We also wanted to look at getting things, bonuses distributed on a more timely basis. So looking at those on a project cycle versus a calendar, end of year type of thing. As I mentioned before, we wanted to make these things team-based. I think if the whole team is successful, then everybody should be rewarded. If the team is struggling, then maybe it's not right to incentivize anybody. And so I think what this is going to do is foster a sense of collaboration amongst the team. I think everybody's going to help support one another and wants to be successful. So I think also, if you have individuals that are standing out, you can give them raises, periodically, or incentivize them in other ways. But the overall bonus structure being tied to a team-based approach. The last thing was to start, when we look at monetary versus non-monetary incentivization, we wanted to talk about doing an open house to really kind of reward creative behavior. So those things, those ideas, those designs that really kind of stand out as being kind of special or unique or very creative, is to bring in those clients, to bring in our sales team, to have everybody kind of celebrate those ideas. I think people will be motivated to step outside the box and not just do the tried and true that gets things done on time and on budget, but really kind of motivates them to think outside the box and do some different things, which I think is really going to inspire our design team. I think it's also going to build some better relationships between our sales staff, our clients, and our design team, and get everybody working together.
Looking at the sales team, we're also going to take a relational approach, and we're going to do commissions based on relationships, and that can be with the use of resources, so looking at the design team and how we're working together, the longevity of our relationships, and the repeat business that we're getting. So hopefully with these 3 functions, we can really lower the redos of design products, giving them the communication that they need to make the best product they can, while also working with the clients and keeping that relationship flowing throughout project to project. Finally, we just want to touch right back to Jane and talk about Jane and her new motivational plan. So for that, we are going to have her float between both teams. Being that she is one person that has worked for both of them, she is going to be a great asset for us to make sure that communication is flowing, to help with any troubleshooting in either the issues, the areas with the clients and the work. And it also allows her to travel less. She moved from New York to North Carolina to be closer to family, so allowing less travel is really going to make her a very happy individual and give back to our company as a whole. So with that, I think we've come up with a really great motivational plan moving forward from what we were at and kind of those issues and what we think we can move forward with to help productivity.
Yeah, we really appreciate the opportunity to present, so thanks very much.